Good evening. The toxicity of the R word, racism, hung over the Conservative Party all day, with ministers and Downing Street early on refusing to apply it to remarks reportedly made by its all-time biggest donor, businessman Frank Hester. He had admitted to being rude about Britain's longest-serving black MP, Diane Abbott. Unacceptable was as far as Downing Street went this morning. Perhaps their reluctance was something to do with Mr Hester's £10 million donation. It took the Business Secretary, Kemi Badenoch, to describe his reported remarks as racist before Number 10 finally did the same. Miss Abbott, who said she'd been frightened and alarmed by Mr Hester's alleged remarks, reported them to Scotland Yard's Parliamentary Investigations team. Tonight, Mr Hester is under yet more pressure after another Guardian report which claims he insulted staff members of Indian origin.
I've been Prime Minister for almost a year now.
As the Prime Minister gave his speech to last year's conference, listening in the audience, Frank Hester, a businessman, the Conservatives' biggest ever donor, and also a man who reportedly said this about Britain's first ever black female MP. It's like trying not to be racist, but you see Diane Abbott on the TV and you're just like, you just want to hate all black women because she's there. And I don't hate all black women at all, but I think she should be shot. Diane Abbott has said she finds the comments frightening, particularly in the context of two MPs having been murdered in recent years, and has reported them to the police. She's currently suspended from the Parliamentary Labour Party, but former colleagues were lining up to support her.
At the heart of all of this, we've got to remember that Diane is a mother. She's a sister, she's a human being. And for anyone to read comments where someone is asking for you to be shot just because of your sex and your race is totally unacceptable. And for Mr Hester to say these comments not based on race or gender is actually disgraceful.
Frank Hester on the right here, showing a former Tory Prime Minister around his healthcare business, donated £10 million to the Tories in the past year.
Should the party give the money back?
Most of the Cabinet wanted to swerve that question today.
Should the Conservative Party give the donations back?
With Labour pushing for exactly that, ministers had been tying themselves into knots to avoid calling his comments racist.
These comments, if true, are pretty awful. But does that mean that this person has no value in us? Are we going to cancel him? He can't donate to a political party?
But this former Tory minister was prepared to address the comments head-on.
They're clearly racist and they're clearly sexist. And I think Diane was right to point out the call to violence, I mean, even in a flippant way, is really inappropriate.
All day, the Prime Minister's spokesperson had been resisting saying the same thing. Only after Kemi Badenoch said on social media the comments as reported were racist did Number 10's resistance break, and Rishi Sunak finally released a statement saying the comments allegedly made by Frank Hester were racist and wrong.
It's frankly staggering that Rishi Sunak has taken so long to recognise that these were racist comments. They're absolutely reprehensible comments. Rishi Sunak should now apologise to Diane Abbott, and the £10 million the Tory party have taken from this individual, Rishi Sunak should order that money to be paid back.
Mr Hester was nowhere to be seen at his Yorkshire HQ today. He has apologised in a statement whilst claiming his criticism had nothing to do with Diane Abbott's gender nor colour of skin.
It's been a difficult year, one filled with conflict.
It's certainly become a difficult year for Frank Hester, and even more so for the party that's still resisting giving back any of his money. Romilly Weeks, News at 10.